This lesson is about unit analysis, and you might hear this referred to as dimensional analysis or the factor label method, or in this case, unit analysis. This is how we are going to convert between units for the rest of this course. So here there are some key steps to follow. Notice in red that for each one of these steps, there is something with a C. We're going to classify what we are given and what we want. We're going to see what conversion needs to be done, what is needed. We're going to cancel out units. We're going to do the calculation. We are going to check our answer. We're going to make sure that we have the correct number of significant figures, and then we will circle our answer. So let's look at this first example and work through all of these steps together. So we're told that it is 236 kilometers from Kalamazoo to Chicago. How many meters is that, and how many miles is that? So let's write down what we're given, and we are given 236 kilometers. And we're told write fractions. Now you can leave this as 236 kilometers just as is, or we can write it as a fraction, and a whole number over fraction is just over 1. So we can do either. Now let's look at what do we want. So if we've got kilometers, and what do we want? We want meters. So I'm going to down here where there's more room. 236 kilometers. I like to write it as what do we want? We want meters. What have we got? We've got kilometers. And then we're going to look back at our unit conversions, and we know that where we have our prefix, our kilo, we're going to put a 1, and we're going to look and see that 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So we classified what we were given and what we want. We looked at the conversion that we're using. Here is our conversion. And remember, we can say this 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. We could have it also written as 1 kilometer over 1,000 meters. But if I did that and I had kilometers on top, my kilometers wouldn't cancel out. So that's where we need to figure out the layout where we can cancel out units. Notice that kilometers and kilometers are diagonal from one another, so they will cancel. So now we need to calculate. We need to multiply across and divide going down. Notice our only unit left here is going to be meters. So 236 times 1,000 divided by 1 will be 236,000 meters. We are going to check, does this magnitude make sense? Well, if I have 236 kilometers and there's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, yeah, that makes sense. Correct number of sig figs. I started with 3, so I need to end with 3. And those zeros at the end, the trailing zeros, are not significant. So yes, we started with 3, and we're ending with 3 sig figs. And then we're going to circle our final answer. Let's convert this to miles. So I'm going to erase this. All right, so we have 236 kilometers, and so we have classified our given, and again, we can write it just as that kilometers, or we can put it over 1. We want to get to miles, so we're going to look back at that chart, our English to metric or metric to English chart, and we say that 1 mile is equal to 1.6093 kilometers. Okay, so we know that. We can write that as 1 mile over 1.6093 kilometers, or we can have 1.6093 kilometers over 1 mile. So it can be written either or. We need to figure out which one do we need to use. So we've got our conversion. We've got two fractions, all right? Which one do we need so that our fractions will cancel out our given units? I've got kilometers. So what do I want? I want miles. What have I got? I've got kilometers, right? I've got kilometers. We need kilometers and kilometers to be diagonal from another. So I need the unit conversion here that has kilometers on the bottom. So I'm going to have 1 mile, 1.6093 kilometers. Okay, so kilometers and kilometers are diagonal from another. So 236 times 1 divided by 1.6093. Let's plug it into our calculator, and my calculator tells me that it's 146.6476108 miles, right? Because that's our only unit left here. And so let's see, we've canceled out. We just calculated. Now let's check. Does that make sense? 236 kilometers. And we know that, remember, if I have a big number, I have a small unit. If I have a small number, it's a big unit. So I went from 236 kilometers is 146 miles. Yeah, that makes sense. Now we need to have the correct number of sig figs. I started with 3 sig figs, so I need to end with 3 sig figs. So I need to count 1, 2, 3, stop there. What will that 6 do to that 6? It will round it up because it's greater than 5. So 147 miles, and let's circle our answer. All right. Now, I'm sure you've done problems like this. You've performed this kind of calculation before. I'm just showing you the layout that I would like for you to use because we're going to build on this layout and use it throughout the course. So we're going to look at a couple more examples, which might not be as common, and we're going to be looking at units in more complicated examples, but by using the same layout. So for these two more examples, I think the best thing for you would be to pause the video and try them out and try them for yourselves. But lay them out the way that I did. Not in a way that you may have laid them out in the past, but using the method shown at the top of the page. So please pause the video and try that. If you feel very confident in this material, just pause the video, try it, and fast forward to where I give the answer and check to make sure that you did this correctly. If you feel unconfident, pause the video, try it, and then watch me solve it in its entirety after you've tried the problem yourself. All right, so we are told that we have a newborn baby that weighs 5 pounds, 8 ounces. How many kilograms does this baby weigh? So what do we have? We've got pounds and ounces here. And if we look back at our English to metric conversions, we are told that there are 16 ounces in a pound. So 8 is half of 16. I'm just going to write this as 5.5 pounds. If you wanted to write down if you wanted to convert pounds into ounces, so 5 times 16 and then add 8, that is fine. If you wanted to put everything into ounces, or if you wanted it into pounds, but we at least have to have one unit. We can't have pounds and ounces together. Now that I'm given pounds, again, I can leave it at just pounds or I can put it over 1, doesn't matter. And we have two different conversions here. So which one are we going to use? We know that in 1 kilogram, there's 2.2046 pounds. Or we could say for every 2.2046 pounds, that's for 1 kilogram. Well, I need to look at this and I need to say, well, what do I want? I want kilograms. So I got to have, it's what you want over what you got. And I want kilograms and I've got pounds. So I need the conversion with kilograms on top and pounds on the bottom. So I need to use this guy. 1 kilogram is 2.2046 pounds. All right, now let's make sure that my units will cancel. Pounds and pounds are diagonal from each other. Good, leaving me only with my kilogram. So now we just need to calculate. Let's plug and chug. 5.5 times 1 divided by 2.2046. And if I put that into my calculator, I'll get 2.4948. Now I need to look at significant figures. I started with 2 significant figures. So I need to end with 2 significant figures. And if I look at 1, this would be 1, this would be 2, so I'm going to draw a line after that, and that 9 will make that 4 go up to a 5. So 2.5 kilograms, and we'll circle our answer. That's how much this baby would weigh. Let's look at this next one. A hospital has 125 deciliters of blood plasma. What is this volume in cc's, or cubic centimeters? Now, cubic centimeters, or cm3, is equal to milliliters. 1 milliliter is equal to 1 cubic centimeter. That's the volume. Cubic centimeters is usually when you find the volume of like a length times width times height, the volume of a cube or something along those lines. It's a solid. And milliliters is usually volume of liquid, but we can say cc's. It's commonly used in the healthcare. But just know that cubic centimeter, 1 cubic centimeter is equal to 1 milliliter. So we could say, since we have deciliters and we want milliliters, we can just say we want to get to milliliters because cc's and milliliters are the same. Here we have 125 deciliters, and we want, like I said, we want milliliters. So we're going from one prefix unit to another prefix unit. Remember, every time that we do our conversions, we always want to get back to our base. So this is going to be a 2-step. We're going to start with our 125 deciliters. And like I said, normally it's what you want or what you got. But if I said, what do I want? And I want milliliters, and what if I got deciliters? And our little rule of you put a 1 next to your prefix, that's not going to get us anywhere, is it? We got to get to our base unit. So what do I want? Liters. What if I got deciliters? So we need to look back at our metric conversions chart and say for 1 deciliter, it would be 0.1 liters. Okay, so that'll get rid of our deciliters there. Now I've got liters at this point, but I'm not finished yet, right? Because I want milliliters. So we got to do one more unit conversion here. So what do I really want? I really want milliliters. And what have I got right now? Since those 2 deciliters canceled out, I've got liters. We're going to put a 1 next to our prefix. Our prefix is on the top, that milli. And that 1 milliliter is 0.001 liters. So liters and liters will cancel out. Now let's multiply across. So 125 times 0.1 times 1. So that would be 12.5. And then I'm going to do 1 times 0.001. Now I'm going to do my total top divided by total bottom. So 12.5 divided by 0.001, and I get 12,500. The only unit left is milliliters. Again, or we could say that's 12,500 cc's. Let's double check. We started with 3 significant figures, and I'm ending with 3 significant figures. So we're looking good. Now, I know some of you might have just looked at this 125 deciliters and just tried moving the decimal point to the right 2 spots, because deciliter and milliliter are 2 spots apart from each other. But I don't recommend doing that because it's very easy to move the decimal in the wrong way. So if you were to make a mistake and just move it back 2 instead of forward 2, you'd get 1.25, which is a very different number than 12,500. I think unit conversions is a more accurate, consistent way, and we'll be using these unit conversions throughout the rest of this class.